Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, senior Lakers insider for Clutch Points, joined on this fine Monday night, my time. I think it's Monday night back home too, right? It's like 10 o'clock. So we're at Monday night hours here on the West Coast as well. That voice that you heard there was Raj Chapalu. Tonight on the show, we are going to be talking about that Lakers loss to the Phoenix Suns that we just watched. I tried to get Raj to talk about just the Dodgers for the entirety of this thing. I guess I am contractually obligated to talk about the Lakers. So that's what we will be doing here. Starting macro, I don't know. It's an annoying loss, but it's one of 82 kind of a deal.
Yeah.
It's just one of those weird losses. That's probably the worst game that LeBron has played as a Laker. And there are some issues I think that are still kind of sticking around here. With these Lakers that are kind of annoying more so than they are like crucial concerning right now, critically concerning. Honestly, Raj, you want to know why the Lakers lost this one? I had Pete on the show earlier today, and I said a lot of nice things about the Lakers. I just went on and on and on and on and on about how much I believe in them. And you know what, everybody, to everybody who's listening right now, everybody who's watching live, my bad. Yeah. This is why, people say that I complain too much. I'm doing y'all a public service. I'm helping the Lakers be better, because every single time I say nice things about the Lakers, bad things happen.
Yeah, for sure. We got to get you back on the pessimistic side of things. I'll keep the positivity around here.
Yeah.
Anthony, real quick, before we get into the Lakers, I think I do want to start with the Dodgers a little bit, because I was at the game on Friday where they played at the same time. So I know you're not supposed to being from a city isn't really like a patriotic thing, but this is the most of an Angelino I felt. You know what I mean? And I think I just underestimated how much of a Dodger city this is. Yeah. Anthony, at that game, it doesn't matter where you sat. If you looked at your left or your right, there was a Dodger game on someone's phone. Everywhere you look. And it was just a super cool experience. We were down 22, so a lot of people were like, let's just go watch the Dodger game, right? And so they were only showing the Dodger game on one TV, okay? So because they didn't want everyone out watching the Dodger game. And so there's this little sushi bar in Crypto that is packed with hundreds of people there watching the Dodger game. And so a lot of people were leaving, coming back, leaving. Oh, wait, we're down only 13 now? I'm like, yeah, we're only down 13. And so they just keep going back and forth. Yeah, I just thought that was a super cool experience. Dodgers obviously won today, but it was like a live reaction to the grand slam. It wasn't they checked the score and they saw it. As the ball got hit, the crowd started screaming. I just thought that was really cool. But yeah, I underestimated how much of a Dodger town with the Laker town this is. And it was just a cool experience and a cool weekend for LA.
Well, LA gets shit on all the time for sports fandom. People think of the executive suites, and they think of the lower bowl, which are usually tickets that get handed out in corporate fashion, and it makes that kind of viewing experience kind of quiet down there. But if you go up and you sit in those nosebleeds with the real Lakers fans, you have generational fandom for all of these teams, right? You have you have some Rams fans because they left, and then you have some Raiders fans because they left too. So it's not quite like that with football, but between the Lakers and the Dodgers, this is actually something that back when I was at Locked On, I basically pitched. I was like, hey, LA's this crazy sports town. It's just I pitched it to David all the time. I don't know if they ever actually did it, but I told him all the time, Locked On LA. I'm telling you, just you can leverage my audience. My audience is going to go there and they'll listen to that show too. You can leverage Locked On Dodgers. At that time, he was trying to get me to host Locked On Dodgers too. And I just didn't have the the ability for it, or the time for it. And I'm happy, like, by the way, that like Vince, and Snydog took it over because they do a great job too. And I was like, man, they and I were doing crossover episodes trying to get that relationship going because there is so much passion for the Lakers and the Dodgers in that crossover fandom. And this last weekend was one of the first times in a long time, maybe since I moved out here, that from like a purely sports fan perspective, I really was bummed that I wasn't back home. Like, this is the first time. Like, I miss my family all the time. I miss my friends. I miss like friends of like that like we grew up with variety, but then also like the friends that like I've made in this industry who I'd grown close with too. Like, I'll miss people like that all the time. But that was the first time that I missed the city because I just know that city was buzzing.
It's crazy because I go to quite a few Laker games a year. And so the whole news, right, Anthony, I don't know if you're watching, but it was calling it Carmageddon, right? Because there's a USC game going on at the same time. Obviously, the Lakers were playing and the Dodgers were playing. So all the news stations were like, get there early, get there early. I've never seen that many people there at 5:30 for a Laker game. The line was around the whole stadium to get in. And you get in and it's packed. People are in Dodger gear. People have half Dodger, half Laker jerseys on. Super cool environment just to be a part of. And then once that grand slam hit, you could just feel the wave across the arena, and it felt like they gave a battery to the Lakers. Like the Lakers,
they went on an 8-0 run.
Yeah, right after that,
they showed the homer on the jumbotron. The Lakers immediately ripped off an 8-0 run, took the lead.
Yeah, and then obviously they took over and got the win. But yeah, that was just a super cool thing to be a part of and just feel the energy there and everybody there for like one common goal and one same rooting interest. So super great weekend. Hopefully the Dodgers close it out tomorrow.
Yeah, I if I was to nitpick, not thrilled about the idea that like they could win a World Series on a Tuesday. Like, that hangover is going to suck on a Wednesday, like I'm just not really like, I'm not,
I was like, what's wrong with Tuesdays? Now I realized like, okay.
You get judged if you're like, God, my head hurts. Like,
right.
On like a Tuesday, like a Wednesday meeting, you're like, are you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm doing great. Loving life. But yeah, that is a really cool thing to notice. And like, and like the part of it too, Raj, that like really makes all of this really cool is that like, it's fun for me. And this is going to sound old man talking down to young person, but it's fun for me to watch you like get more and more and more invested in this Dodgers team. Because of this run that they're on, because the Lakers also happen to be playing good basketball, because there's that crossover element. And you see that like watching you call yourself an Angelino. I've never seen you refer to yourself as such. Like, that's really cool. That's really cool. And there's just nothing better than sports in that regard and in their unifying ability. Let's talk about this game though. The Lakers lose to the Phoenix Suns. By the way, to those of you who are watching live, please do hit that subscribe button. Please do hit that like button. If you missed the episode earlier today with Pete and me, it was a great one. I texted Pete right after. That was a banger. Had a really good time talking basketball with him. Love doing that as often as I can. So check that out. And again, the way that this game played out, LeBron not being able to he looked like he got monstered in this one. I blame myself personally for how that all played out. But the Lakers do lose to the Phoenix Suns 105-109. Again, there are some concerns that have now stuck around for 4 games, and we'll get into some of those. But overall, I'm not that bothered by this one. It's hard to beat the same team twice in a week. You're playing in their house this time. You jump out to the big lead, and I thought JJ kind of messed with the rotations a little bit in this one. He actually, after the game, took accountability for it, said that they scored 14 points in a quarter, and that's on him. So yet another, box that he checks that Darvin did not. In that ability or in that willingness to take real accountability and explain why a loss was on him. So that's good. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because the Dodgers won, took a commanding 3-0 lead that I'm just like in too good of a mood to be bothered by this. But
right.
Like even if it happened in a vacuum and the Dodgers hadn't won a series crippling road game in the World Series in New York against the Yankees, Aaron Austin's agent, get at me, bud. But yeah, I'm not too bothered by this loss.
Yeah, me either. I think I don't even think it's an exaggeration to say this might be LeBron's worst game, like as a player in his career. 3 for 14 from the field. He had 7 points pretty much until I think with 5 or 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And so it's tough to win a game when you're 25 to 28 points per game player is just not producing at the level you expect. I thought Anthony Davis was awesome again. Looks like the best player in the league right now, defensively, offensively. I believe he was a plus in this game. Yeah, it was a plus 14 in a game that we lose by whatever we did. So I don't really have concerns, Anthony. I'm a little bit more excited. Like if this is the Rui that we're gonna get, and this is the Austin that we're gonna get, I'm pretty excited about this season. But yeah, can't be too upset. I thought KD hit a lot of tough shots. This is where I thought like the Vanderbilt injury really reared its head, in my opinion. Not having one more switchable defender to put on him. We were having Gabe switch on him. I thought this was like D'Lo's best defensive game, maybe in a very long time. He again had a really tough shooting night, but I thought he defended well. Gabe defended really well. Still can't shoot. Really concerned about Max. I'm sure we'll speak about him later. But yeah, I'm not really too concerned either. 3-1 on the season. You go to Cleveland, and then after that, you get a couple more easier games in Detroit. I believe the other, and Toronto. You get Toronto and Detroit coming up after Cleveland, so a chance to really kind of continue to stack some wins. But yeah, not really too upset at the effort. I thought we coached a good game, man. You held the Suns to whatever we did. I think they had like 104 points throughout. We actually won the KD minutes, which I was surprised looking at the box score. KD finishes a -6, which surprising because it felt like he hit every big shot down the stretch. Shots that you kind of live with. It's like contested 2 after contested 2. Yeah, I'm not mad about this. Last year's team gets blown out tonight, in my opinion. Like LeBron, 7 points going into the fourth. That team has no chance to kind of.
Well, this is what's weird, right? Is that like last game against the Kings, you have AD finish a -22.
Yeah.
This one you have LeBron finish a minus. Oh man, I went
-17.
-17. The Lakers won one of those games and had opportunities to win this one.
Yep.
And I think like that really kind of speaks to that focus on the margins. Like, remember, it was taking like LeBron and AD combining for like 80 points for them to have a chance at winning games. And frankly, I don't think LeBron has been playing very good basketball at the beginning of this season in terms of the games. You want a funny story? I said this. I just popped into the coach's den a little bit after the Dodgers game while I was getting ready for this, and I told the story there too. But I have an article that's dropping tomorrow. That's this like sourced article that kind of takes you behind the scenes of an aspect of the Bronny experience that I don't think has gotten very much attention. And I have a quote from a Lakers staffer basically being like, this is the most engaged LeBron has been in practice at the beginning of a year. And I'm like,
and this is the game he shows. Yeah.
I kind of want to I kind of want to talk to Clutch Points and be like,
Let's
hey,
push
maybe we
this
should
out.
hold off on this one. Maybe we should.
Yeah, wait
Maybe
for the
we should
Cleveland
save
game.
it for the for a day that isn't the morning after a
Right.
game that LeBron barely squeaks up to the 10 points that he got to keep that streak alive. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't think the results are quite there for LeBron on the court in these games. I think actually this is something that he used to do in Cleveland where he would kind of take a back seat and he would let the team kind of figure it out on their own. And then because he is so talented, because he's so smart and all of that stuff, he would then kind of like figure out what the team would need from him.
Yeah,
And the Lakers have afforded him that opportunity, right? They're
they have.
3-1. If they've afforded him the opportunity to kind of like take a step back. We have Austin on the ball a lot more in this setting or this season so far. You have AD operating as a hub, which is taking some time to get used to as well. And I think it, I'm not concerned about LeBron, even if again, like I'm saying this on the other end of the worst LeBron game that I think I've seen as a Laker. I'd have to go back and look, but this is probably pretty high up there. I don't know. I think this is more like his approach to the season is more like feeling things out than I'm concerned that like he doesn't have that extra gear anymore.
Me too. And
We
it's
just saw
funny
it
'cause
over the summer. I don't think he doesn't have that gear. I don't think it's a matter of not having that gear.
I don't think so either. And it's just funny because obviously this is a bad LeBron game, 3 for 14. But like for him, a terrible game is 11, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, right? Like that, like it's still stuffing the stat sheet in different ways. 3 missed free throws, which I thought kind of impacted the game. But I think you're right. Like he's like, look, Rui has 18. Like
Yeah.
I'm not messing with this. Austin's cooking. He had 4 or 5. He had 5 threes. In the fourth quarter or going into the fourth, I believe. AD was a monster. They could not guard him. I thought we should have got AD the ball a little bit more. Like when they put Royce O'Neal on AD, I was like, scrap the offense. Like there's no offense anymore.
All right. I think this might be counterintuitive. I might have like the unpopular opinion on this front, but I
Okay.
think Phoenix did that to get the Lakers out of their offense. Like if it's that bad of
Junk
a matchup,
defense.
a lot
Yeah.
of times like it's the other coach basically like trying to get the Lakers out of a rhythm and trying to get them going out of their way to get AD the ball, because the thing with post ups is that like they become very stagnant very easily. So I actually was happy that they weren't like force feeding. I wish they would have done a little bit more as far as like getting him in pick and rolls. Like
Yeah.
you have Royce O'Neal guarding him. You could do more high-low stuff there, because Royce was working really hard to get, at least a quarter to half front on
Mhm.
80, if not a full on some possessions. That's where like I would like to have seen a little bit more weak side action to get the ball into the high post that would allow you to get, that like volleyball type play. But the other thing tough there too is that like KD is a legit 7-footer, and that kind of throws those kind of plays out of
Yeah.
rhythm too. So I didn't have too big of a problem with the offense. They scored 105 points. I thought they were generating good looks.
Yeah.
The problem, Raj, is honestly like, and this is, I guess we can kind of dive into some of the more kind of longer term concerns here. D'Lo hasn't been good offensively so far. He hasn't
Yeah.
looked comfortable. You mentioned the defense, and that's good. I'm happy that he's bought in and he's trying to make his impact at least there. But so far this season, D'Lo, I don't know if the stats have refreshed to include tonight's 2 of 9 performance, but he's shooting 31.3% from
Yeah.
three so far this year. And a lot of those looks, Raj, are wide open. And that tells me he's not comfortable out there.
Yeah, I think he's still trying to figure it out. And he did have 8 assists tonight, and I thought his playmaking kind of did help the team get organized. 8 assists to two turnovers. That's pretty good. It was a +0 on the night. Again, I thought he defended Devin Booker, as well as D'Lo can. But yeah, I just don't think he's comfortable yet in whatever offensive role. It's very clear they're trying to push him more and more off the ball. It's clear that Austin's kind of really like gained the on-ball creator. It's still wild, Anthony, to watch. Like you have LeBron James walking up on one side of the court. You have Anthony Davis in the paint. And our fourth quarter offense is like, Austin, you run the
Cook.
show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like because Austin's hot one night. That's literally that's what our go-to is. But I think again, when you like put that as the backdrop, then it puts D'Lo in a place where, well, my only contribution is going to be on threes. So all that, like, I still think there's places where D'Lo can like get to his, put a guard on his back, floater range, stuff like that, that like can really kickstart him. But when it's all threes, he took 13 shots tonight, Anthony, 9 from 3. Like that, that split to me, he's just not hot enough for where that can work for him right now. But I'd like to get him to go to the free throw line a little bit more, only 2 free throws. The Suns start a lot of small guards where he should be able to take advantage. Tyus Jones is a guy that should not be able to guard him, for whatever minutes Tyus played tonight. Like that's a guy that he should not be able to hide on. But I think his aggression level, and I think this is what he's being told too. I think D'Lo's being told, you're the, move the ball, get the ball flowing in the half court, move it to the left, to the weak side, to the strong side, and just try to get our offense in rhythm and don't worry about your scoring. And I think that's really where he's at with it. But yeah, the shooting's not good enough yet. We need his shooting volume. And some of those threes, like I think he took one late in the fourth, which was like 3 steps behind the 3-point line. Some of the shot selection with that, I'd like it to be better, but he's bought in
That one
defense.
that like barely drew iron. The one
Yeah,
that barely
I think
hit
we were
the front of the rim.
Yeah, I think we were down 3 and he tried to tie it with like 2 or 3 minutes left. Those are the ones like you have 80 there, and we've like already played Nurkic off the floor. Again, I don't think Plumlee's a guy that can really stay with AD when he's attacking. Like I would like to feed that. And I think I have to go back and rewatch, but I think like AD was telling D'Lo on that 3, like after the timeout, like throw it up to me. Like throw it up to me.
Yeah.
But D'Lo's like, I was throwing it to the rim. But
Get the
yeah.
rebound. Yeah. I think it's, and one of the things that Pete and I talked about earlier today was that like I don't think they're very far away from needing to split up Austin and D'Lo because of the stuff we're talking. It just looks like the ball rotates over to D'Lo, and even as he's like getting ready to shoot on this catch and shoot, it's either like, can I just dribble once, or it's like, I'm good to shoot here. Can I shoot? I'm gonna shoot. It's going up. We're good. We're good. And it just doesn't look very comfortable right now. And maybe it's a matter of waiting for it to get comfortable. But also, like, I think the idea of staggering Austin and D'Lo more than they have, like so far this season, they've had LeBron sub out first and Max come in for LeBron. I would actually like D'Lo to sub out first and have Dalton come in for D'Lo in that spot. And then, we'll see how things look also with Vanderbilt. I thought this game really kind of showcased why they miss Vando, because if you're closing games with Gabe and, he's not shooting the ball, we're talking about the way that D'Lo isn't shooting the ball. Gabe isn't making very many threes either. And both of those guys are getting open threes, and they're the ones that they're missing. So it's like, if you guys aren't making open threes, well, we have another guy who won't make open threes, who defends, and is big enough to make an impact defensively. So I do think eventually, like, I sent out a tweet today about like what the tweaks are that the Lakers are thinking about, short term versus long term and stuff like that. I do think eventually one of, if not both, D'Lo and Gabe won't finish the season as Lakers this year, which kind of makes me think that it makes, like, I know Max has been kind of frustrating, but it makes me think that you kind of have to stick with them and just see if you can find a better spot to put him in, because right now he's coming in for LeBron. He's the exact kind of player who needs to play with LeBron. He's also out there on the court when Gabe gets out there, and the Gabe and Max combination has just been abysmal this year. I'd have to look it up. I don't think NBA.com has updated their lineup stats yet, but that those groups have just been skid marks on all of these games. So I don't know. Of the guards that I mentioned there, D'Lo, Max, Gabe, who kind of like, what's your ranking there of like concern moving forward?
Ranking, yeah. I mean, I think, well, Max is kind of my most concern, because I think he's more important to what we do than maybe the other two right now. So probably Max, Gabe, then D'Lo. I think D'Lo is gonna figure his offense out eventually, and I've seen enough of D'Lo. He's been in the league, long enough where I understand it. But Anthony, I mean, Gabe is averaging 3 points a game. Like he came here as a scorer. I know you have continued to harbor the point that he's not a shooter, which is fine. Like that's fine. He's not an efficient shooter. He's not a 3-point a game scorer. Like that's insane. He came here as a bucket getter. He's supposed to like fill the Dennis Schroeder route. But yeah, if he can't score, like that's super concerning to me. And our bench, I thought that's where we lost this game. Honestly, we went Gabe, Max, D'Lo, LeBron, and I think Hayes.
Yeah.
And Katie ate that lineup up. Like, and it was some tough shots, but it's also like I don't think
It's not tough though, because like Gabe is guarding him, and he's like Gabe. When Katie elevates, Gabe is
over.
like eye level with his waist.
Right.
Like some interesting stats. All of this is small sample size theater, but here's some Gabe Vincent stats as far as lineups go so far this season. Gabe Vincent and Anthony Davis have a net rating of negative 1.3 in 59 minutes so far. He has a net rating of negative 14.9 in 45 minutes with LeBron so far. That pairing that I talked about that has been abysmal, the Gabe Vincent, Max Christie pairing, they've played 33 minutes so far together. They have a negative 41.9 net rating together.
Yeah.
Like you look at the important players that like he needs to be good with. If you're not good with Anthony Davis, like if you're not if you're plus minus and your net rating isn't, the highest it's going to be with AD playing the way that AD is so far this year, that's not a great sign. And then like you look at his net rating with LeBron, because LeBron has kind of taken a slower approach to the season. And I think that's part of the reason, but still there, like to be a negative player alongside those two guys, that was always a thing that was kind of a red flag to me in the regular season with Rondo was like, the better example is Russ, where like Russ always had a bad net rating with either and or both LeBron or AD. And it just, if you aren't playing well with those guys, if you aren't getting results out there with those guys, that's a you problem. Like we all have friends or there are people out there that it
blame everyone
if
else.
If somebody doesn't get along with that person, it's like no man, that's a you thing. That's Mother Teresa you're not getting along with. Like you got to figure this out, and I think with Gabe, like it's the shot. He's not a good 3-point shooter. He has not been over the course of his career a good 3-point shooter. He's a streaky one. And I guess the Lakers are just waiting for the good streak, but it's getting kind of like, I know Reddish likes to compliment him for doing all the little things and stuff like that, but eventually, like they don't keep score on little things. They keep score on scoring. And if you're averaging 3 points a game, 18 minutes and in 18 minutes a night, and you're playing, a chunk of your minutes with LeBron and AD, like eventually, man, like you got to do some of the big things.
Yeah, and at that height, and he's like what 6'4". He looks smaller like on TV, but I mean like he's listed at 6'4". I just think you got to be
no
like
way.
That's
no way.
that's what he's listed at. I know I was shocked when I looked that up too. But that's what he's listed at. But you got to be like Alex Caruso level. Like that's the defender you got to be to not score and still be as productive. Have that outweigh your offense. And I think that's where we're at with Gabe. And the concerning part to me, Anthony, is Max Christie's kind of part in this because Max isn't supposed to be a guy that can't shoot. Like he's supposed to at least be able to hit an open three, and the game feels like it's still going at speed like a little too fast for him, where his processing speed just isn't there, and he doesn't know where his shots come from. And to me, that's he should have got these reps last year, but now he's like trying to figure out who he is as a player. And doing that on the fly on a good team is going to be difficult. So I think they have to stick it out for sure, but that's concerning. And then I don't know. I think 11 minutes for Dalton. He didn't shoot well tonight, but that's to me not enough. They're face guarding him. He can't get a touch, and they're face guarding him next to Max and Gabe, so it's a little easier to do that, right? You can send more attention, you can put more help on him. JJ, I don't know why, has a strict rule that he can't play the first and third quarters. I don't know why that's become a strict kind of thing, but he hasn't played in the first and third quarters at all, I believe, this season, other than preseason. But yeah, I would love to get him some reps with the big team. Like, just get somebody who can free the floor up a little bit, because I thought we defended well enough to win this game. Our defense was good. Just could not score for long stretches, and a lot of that is because LeBron putting up the stat line he did, and just not being involved until late. Did have the big three, but yeah, I thought we defended well enough. Our defense looks pretty consistent, at least when AD's on the floor. Yeah, just the offense couldn't keep up.
Let's talk about Max. My large adult son, this has been a brutal opening to the season for him. Honestly, Raj, like, what it looks like is, like, he looks like a player who has no idea, like, what they actually want from him to succeed.
Sure.
What he looks like he has no idea, like, what would constitute a good game for him, like what
good
constitutes a good shot, good play. Like, he's just out there guessing. So this is it's a cliche in baseball where you'll watch a hitter hit, and if it's a good hitter and they're swinging through fastballs, or they're taking, like, even worse, if they're taking pitches that they should be swinging at and then swinging at pitches that they should be taking, like, the line that you say there is that, like, okay, he's guessing up there. He has no idea. Like, they just, he has no vision or no rhythm for the baseball up there, and it just doesn't look right. And I'm watching Max play, and it's like, sometimes he thinks he needs to do some creation. Sometimes he needs to attack closeouts. Tonight he tried to challenge Mason Plumlee with Plumlee had been standing there for a half hour before he, like, got into the paint. And it's just and then even worse, I think, like, the thing I never had to worry about with Max last year, even while Darvin was really frustrating, was I never felt like Max kind of outwardly showed frustration and wasn't trying. But tonight he got benched because there was a play where, he was the back guy, the last guy back.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like trotting back. They get a layup because of that poor effort, and he immediately gets benched. Like, he looks so discouraged that he's just not recognizable for the basketball that we saw him play, even like as recently as the preseason or as recently as summer league. I wish they would stop asking him to create. I wish they would just make his role as narrow as possible on offense and tell him, hey man, we need your perimeter defense a hell of a lot more than we need anything from you beyond knocking down open shots on offense.
Right. Really quickly, I found out there are baseball film breakdowns, and so, like, but I've been kind of going into that, and there's a Juan Soto had this bat against the last team they played before they played the Dodgers. Cleveland, yeah, and he had this home run, and I watched every pitch of that, and it was the most, like, I've ever enjoyed baseball in my life. I was watching it at this public
that chess game, right? That
yeah,
like,
it was just
forth, and
it was just the most amazing thing. And I tweeted out, like, can someone send me a film breakdown of this? And that, like, exists, and someone sent it to me, and I just love the hell. It was so cool to watch them break down every pitch, and, like, the Soto looking at the pitcher and, like, daring him to throw it in the strike zone. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, for Max, he looks like a guy that doesn't know where his shots come from, doesn't know, like, oh, this is my time. Like, if I get the ball here, am I supposed to shoot? He's still not comfortable with NBA closeouts, right, as well. We're putting him on the other team's best perimeter player, and that's a tough ask anyway. But, like, they put him on KD, and, like, it didn't feel like KD saw him. He's still, like, he's bulked up for sure, but it feels like his body is ahead of his mind still. Like, Beal put a little, like, pull up on him. Beal was able to pull up on him pretty easily. Like, those are the things I think you'll get again with reps. He's still, I thought, rebounding well, but yeah, there was a play where he was guarding Grayson Allen and just fell asleep. Grayson Allen got a three. Like, those are the little kind of plays that I thought cut up for him. And I would like to see him, Anthony, get some minutes with our main guys. Like, I think him next to also, you talked about it, him next to Gabe on the bench. It's not enough offensive creation to where, like, he's gonna need to put the ball on the floor. He's gonna need to run pick and rolls. Like that's just like if he's on the floor with those guys, it's been a rough start for him. Still a long season left. I feel like we're watching Max. Like Max is the type of player we watch with our heart over our mind, right? Like we want to see, like in my opinion, like the way I watch, like he obviously Max doesn't get as this was the first night where Max has gotten like the main kind of attack on Twitter of like, oh man, like Max is not playing well. It was so loud, but Max is a guy that I think like you want to see him do well. So kind of like what he does, doesn't like feel reality sometimes, but he's behind right now. Like this is not where they hoped Max Christie would be. Like he's definitely behind where they hope.
I would be willing to go there if he wasn't basically strapped to Gabe Vincent.
Yeah.
You know, like I get what you're saying. I think there might be something to that. The notion of like because like Max basically became the stand-in example
100%.
of Darvin Ham's ineptitude, right?
This guy doesn't know anything, and Max is the representation of it. Yeah,
yeah.
that was it.
And I think like I think that can be kind of dangerous sometimes because it does allow a player to become more concept than reality.
Yeah,
but I need to see him put in better situations before. And look, like it also needs to be said, does Max matter enough to put him in those better situations? You know, like especially when if I asked around about Vando again, and I'm still like it's still basically like, oh, you know, we'll see, you know.
Oh man,
which like, dude,
the squeals didn't go like a little higher, like it's still at
a
the
little
same
lower.
level.
Like,
I mean,
it's
a
like a
little lower.
lower.
Yeah,
Like you're looking for lower squeals. Like,
yeah, a
well,
little deeper voiced.
You know, maybe. Like basically, like anytime I ask about Vando, the people who I ask about him are like surprised that I'm asking about him, which I feel like is a bad sign.
Yeah.
Like he's so far out of sight, out of mind that they're like, "Oh yeah, that's right, Vando."
Still on the team. Yeah.
But yeah, I think with Max, like at least until Vando gets back, you know, I would like to see JJ use him a little differently. And I'm not talking about the way that like delusional Russ fans are still somehow saying that Russ needs to be used differently despite playing on a team with Jokic. I mean more like just stop playing him with Gabe, you know. Stagger Austin and D'Lo to the extent to where instead of playing with Gabe, he's playing with D'Lo, because I actually think that would be good for D'Lo too. You know, having D'Lo spend more time on the ball with second units and allowing him to have more freedom and more and get that rhythm that he has talked about means a lot to him, right?
Yeah.
Those are the things that like I would like to see before we make the decision Max can't play.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's like he can't play. It's just he's not ready for the level that the Lakers are kind of at right now. Right. So
Yeah.
I just think like the
And it
rest
looks
of the
like
team,
Dalton is, you know, to your point.
and that's the part that's difficult because I'm sure Max, and you framed it as a competition, and I think you've been proven correct on that. Those two are 100% battling for those minutes. Like if Dalton's like I don't think Dalton's gonna live at 11 minutes that much longer. Like I can see his ascension coming. That dude comes in and does not care. Will come in, take shots. Again, had a couple of drives tonight, which I thought were a little wild. But like if Dalton's defense is at this baseline level, I think like it's gonna be tough to keep him off the floor. Like Max is supposed to win that battle because of his defensive prowess. It just has not shown that way. But he's still like I think there's a really good athlete there that can figure it out. It's just he's a step slow. I know you're saying, and we're both saying put him in better lineups, but some of the stuff is not going to change no matter where you play. Those closeouts are coming, and you have to make decisions out of 4-on-5 plays, and you have to make the correct decisions. When you drive, he doesn't know when to hit the pocket to AD or when to attack. That Plumlee drive, AD's right there, but like he's like, oh, I'm going to go dunk on Plumlee, which I like. You can have, you like the, I guess, aggressiveness, but you know, you also have to be smart. Where like you're not getting that call, not yet. You haven't earned it. So like,
it's the worst whistle in the league.
He does 100%, but that's just
he had that. They called him for an offensive foul tonight for knocking the ball out, like on an offensive rebound. And I was like, I have never seen, like, they are making up calls to call on Max, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm biased because I do still believe in the guy or whatever. When I saw that call, I was like, and by the way, like, for me to notice that call while the Dodgers and the Lakers were in like the bottom of the eighth,
Yeah,
was like, what the fuck? Oh, all right, way to go, Brazier!
yeah,
It was an unbelievable call to see, and he just has, because I even thought like the problem, like, it was a stupid play for him to challenge Plumlee there, but Plumlee pretty clearly fouled him there. You're just not going to get that call because
no,
Plumlee had been standing there for as long as he did.
right.
Like, when was the last time we saw Max take like a couple dribbles and knock down a mid-range jumper?
Preseason, and that was his go-to shot. Like, he was taking the
Yeah.
pull-up mid-read all the time in preseason. This goes back to my point of he doesn't know where shots come from, and what a good shot is in the NBA is very different from like what a good shot is in a regular vacuum. Like an open three with 15 seconds left is a good shot. Like, that's just, you have to take those, and it's not going to be wide open sometimes. Like, you got to take it with a defender a couple feet away. Like, I just think like he's going to get there. I just wish these reps came a year ago. Like, it'd been nice to Max figure this out last year, but then maybe you don't get Max at the 4-year 30 whatever that he signed. So you never know with those things. But yeah, it's been a tough start for him. I still think he's trying defensively. It's just we're putting him on the best guys, perimeter guys.
But that's also what like his responsibility has to be on this roster.
Sure, but that's a tough entry point to minutes. Like, go guard KD, and I'm sure KD sees it like, oh, you're putting that guy on me just for now, because obviously Max doesn't have the reputation yet. Beal feels the same way. Beal's like, you got Max Christie on me, 1-on-1 pull up.
Well, it doesn't matter who they would put on him. It'd be like Max or Austin or D'Lo or like, because he had the same. Again, I was watching Gabe play against KD, and it basically looked like, you know how like, you know, the cartoon of the older sibling who puts the hand in the guy's face and like the younger sibling's face, and it's like, you know, you're trying to like, the younger siblings like trying to punch the older one. And it's just like, that's what KD was doing to Gabe. It was just like, you know, he would rise up to shoot and Gabe would be like, please miss it. Please. You know, like, you know, like he was like, whoa, you know, you know, just doing anything he can. Meanwhile, KD is like, was there a defense? I could have swore. There was a defender. So like the Lakers just don't. And again, like that's why I said earlier tonight, like that's where they really, really miss Vanderbilt. Super interesting that they did not go to Cam. Given like
his success,
the athleticism and like the success there. It looks like Cam is just like not at all a part of this rotation at, you know, as things currently stand. And I don't know what would have to go wrong for him to get into it. So that was certainly interesting. But yeah, I would say I'm worried about Max, but I'm not out on Max.
Yeah, me either. It's too early to be out. And I think there was enough evidence last year that like that's an NBA player that can be molded, right? Like, had the games against it's interesting. He had the great game against Donovan Mitchell last year. That was kind of his coming out game where he really, you know, played an excellent defense, was a great cutter, rebounder. And then Darvin's like, that's enough. We're going right back to Cam Reddish. So, you know, that's the team we play next. But yeah, still a lot of time for Max. It's just, I think he was kind of the hero, right, of last year. Kind of, that's the guy that we're championing and really excited to see in a bigger role. And this is the bigger role. Like, these are the lights are the brightest. Like, he got 23 minutes tonight and scored what I think he scored 5 points. Like, you know, and on 4 shots. He did hit 1 3 with like the buzzer going off. Him and Gabe both hit threes where it was just no pressure, which concerns me. Like, both of their threes were threes that they had to just
I
take.
have to shoot. I
have to shoot. And those are the ones that goes in. You take those out and it gets really concerned. Man, you take that out and Gabe is scoreless if you take that 3 out in 20 minutes.
And Max has 2, like between the two of them,
they would have,
you have 44 minutes played.
Yeah.
And they would, if you don't include those 2 end of shot clock threes, they have 2 points between them. Not ideal.
No, not enough.
All right, let's go ahead and answer a super comment real quick before we get y'all out of here, which means so Justin Tyndall writes, proud of the effort for the 3rd game in 4 nights. Braun can't handle that in year 22. LeBron said he wants to play all 82 games.
Yeah.
I think this is exhibit A as to why he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fun goal to say, like, a few games into the season, especially when the team is like 3-0 or whatever. But LeBron, you're 40. Like, like I remember, we went to there's a little creek that we're about like 45 minutes away from. And the only like feasible way that you can get into this creek, there's two, right? There's like a little
Mhm.
ladder that you can kind of like slowly go down, or you basically like have to dive like
Mhm.
into this creek from about 5 feet, 5 to 7 feet up. And I was like, I'm diving. And I hit the water and like in diving kind of like tweaked my calf, and I got out of the water and I'm like I'm like I come up from coming up for breath, and I'm kind of like kicking my feet there, just kind of like staying above water, and I'm like, man, I think I tweaked something there. And Jen's like, yeah, babe, you're 38. Like, yeah, or I wasn't at the time. It's like, yeah, babe, you're turning 38 this year. What'd you
Yeah.
think was going to happen? And it's like LeBron saying, yeah, I want to play at 40. I know LeBron is built completely differently and all that stuff, but LeBron, you're 40. Take the occasional night off. Third game in 4 nights. The Lakers, it's really rare that we could say this. Almost never has happened before. The Lakers probably would have been better off without LeBron tonight.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you said, after the 3-0, LeBron's like, I'm playing all 82. I would have loved to know what he said if we actually won tonight. Like, what quotes would have came out, what proclamations, what he would have said. I'm trying to sweep this road trip. Like, that's all that matters, Like, but since they lost, it's it'd probably be a different story. No, yeah, LeBron needs his nights. I think like LeBron's load man. Like, I don't think there will ever be a player that can do this. But LeBron's like load managing quarters. Like, it's the craziest thing. Like, again, I was there on Friday watching him against the Suns. He's like just first quarter, absolutely zero involvement. Second quarter, very little involvement. And then the third quarter, he just like kicks it up. Like, it's such a unique experience to have a guy with that much experience, but still have the body that can do what his mind tells it to do. Like, it's just a unique position that no athlete's really ever been in. So yeah, I think these are the type of games you'll get here and there. Somehow still got to 10 points and some crazy, somehow still outscored Gabe and Max combined, like with the worst game of his life, and just still passes them up by like double point. It's just it's insane.
That's a really sad but true point. All right. That is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge. Again, a bonus episode from earlier today with Pete and me breaking down the 3-0 start. Obviously, would have preferred to be 4-0 now, but the Lakers were going to lose eventually. And if you're going to lose, and it happens to come on a night that LeBron plays the worst game of his time as a Laker, and you're still kind of answering these questions as you built this airplane on the fly, to still be, kind of, actually competitive, built that big lead early and all of that stuff against a team that you're going to see in the playoff race and maybe eventually in the playoffs. This is now twice that the Lakers have played probably the best or second best team in their division. It's between them, right? I think it's between the Lakers and the Suns for
Yeah,
best teams in the division right now. And they look like they belong. They very clearly look like they belong. So again, I know people roll their eyes with moral victories and stuff like that, but that's a part of the building process of an 82 game season. And I would have preferred to win, but if you have all of this stuff going against you and you're still competitive, that says to me that the process is leading you in the right direction. And then, to have right after the game, JJ say, yeah, this one's on me. If we score 14 points in a quarter, there's something I am doing wrong. That's something that the players hear, man, especially given the experience that they had from last year. So overall, could have been a better night, could have been a way worse night.
yeah. But before we get out of here, I just want to point two guys out because Austin I thought was just incredible
Yeah, good
again.
point.
8 for 15, 5 for 9 from 3, really taking it hard, the lead guard role. I think players like him, Anthony, it's very easy to just be like, all right, well, I've settled in. I'm in the NBA. Like, this is the player I am, but like he's really kind of continued to improve. The passing looks much better than, I expected to be to start the year. And our offense really is Austin when things get tight, our offense is Austin AD 2-man game, and like everyone else play out of that, which I thought was impressive. Again, 5 threes tonight, and I thought he defended Booker really well, and really got under his skin. And then Rui, just man, what a start to the season for him. I think he's averaging like 16 to 18 points a game. The rebounding is way up. Again, I don't know what JJ's whispering.
He had 20 and 10 tonight.
20 and 10, yeah, and like
5 offensive rebounds.
Right, 3 for 3 from downtown, which will lead the story on him. But I just thought the aggressiveness when they had Tyus Jones on him closing out, he was like, "I'm pump faking, I'm going to the rim," and he attacked Plumlee off the dribble, like had a crazy dunk in traffic. Like the bully ball Rui is my favorite Rui, and I thought we got that tonight too. So if we lose tonight, but we get this Austin and Rui like at a consistent basis, with D'Lo kind of shooting, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. Also, the ref sucked at the end of that game. Like tomorrow's last 2 minutes report is going to be filthy. It's gonna piss me off when I see it.
Before we go, did you agree with LeBron missing that free throw at the end?
Yeah,
you did. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're talking about like a 40, or I guess the difference between a 1% and a 2% chance at winning. Like whether he makes that or not. Like, maybe. I guess if you want to nitpick, you could say maybe there was a little too much time left there. So you're saying, are you saying like you would have preferred to like, make your free throw? My thing there though is that like you have a better chance at taking them by surprise. And by the way, they did. Like it did take the Suns because of the way that he shot it. It was a pass at the rim,
right?
And it hit it hit the rim,
it touched the ground,
and it hit the ground.
Yeah,
like. You gave your team an opportunity to come up with that rebound. So I didn't hate the decision there.
Yeah, I thought just make the free throw. Like LeBron, like just.
Do you think if LeBron was sitting at 9 points there, he would have been like, "I gotta."
That free throw was going in 100%. There was no way.
Like if he would have had his foot on the line for the 3 that he made, and he needed that free throw, he's like, yeah, sorry, JJ. Like I'm retiring on this streak.
It's a ridiculous streak. It's absolutely stupid. It's a ridiculous streak. It's like 10 seasons or something like that. Absurd.
All right, everybody. Like I said, check out the show from earlier today with me and Pete. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit the subscribe button whenever you listen to this in pod form too. Tell your friends that you love the show. Tell your enemies that you hate it. And until tomorrow, I'm Anthony Irwin saying, and that's Raj Tapalu saying, have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you mañana. Go Dodgers. Let's do it. Fuck. Go for the sweep. Screw it. I don't think they will, but do it.
Bye, everyone.